So, internet sensation who basically showed up out of nowhere and then disappeared, Lil Tay, has passed away today. And I want to get to the family statement that they have posted on their Instagram. Now, about 5 hours ago, Lil Tay's representatives, somebody in their family, had posted this and said it's with heavy hearts that we like to share this devastating news that our beloved Claire, who is Lil Tay, suddenly and tragic passing. It goes on to say that we have no words to express the unbearable loss and indescribable pain. The outcome was entirely unexpected and has left us all in shock. Her brother passing added an even more unimaginable death to us. So not only did Little Tay pass away, but so did her brother. And if you think the alarms have not been sounded, they have. People are sounding the alarms because Little Tay used to post pretty provocative, nothing like crazy content on Instagram. And let me just show you a snippet. So images like this of her laying in a bed with money, and then other videos like this of a 9-year-old at the time driving a Rolls Royce, which shout out to Little Tay and her brother who produced this video. But where did y'all get a Rolls Royce from? Now, when these images of Little Tay like this floating around in money in, luxurious bathtubs, people started doing a little bit digging. Then they found out that her mother was this celebrity real estate agent. So she was selling these houses and they had access to it. Little Tay and her brother, they had access to these homes. So they would take all these hilarious videos that people kind of loved. Now, where the story got a little bit sinister is when Little Tay's father happened to enter back into her life. Now, Little Tay and her brother were raised by their mother, and when their father found out that they were making millions of followers and millions of dollars on social media because of Little Tay's personality, her father had swooped in and somehow was able to acquire custody of her and take over her social media as well as her money. Well, back in 2021, Little Tay's brother got really nervous about his sister being gone and not in his care with his mother. So he had actually started a GoFundMe. You can look at the GoFundMe. It's still up because, again, her brother passed away too. So there's no one to take it down. It says, save Tay from a life of abuse. And we're going to get into some of the details of this GoFundMe because it's rather disturbing. So her brother had wrote that Little Tay will be fighting for her life, her future, and her freedom starting on April 23rd of 2021. Tay is in a desperate need of funds to support her fight against her abusive father. As a result of the situation, she has been in a state of depression. All funds raised through this GoFundMe will go toward Tay's legal fees to give her the fighting chance in court to save her from her abusive life towards her future and her freedom. He said starting on April 23rd of 2021, Tay will be on trial in British Columbia Supreme Court in Canada. I forgot to let you guys know they are Canadian. It says up against an absentee father, Chris Hope, who along with his wife, Hannie Hope, I think that's how you pronounce their names, have physically and mentally abused her. Chris, Tay's father, is fighting for permanently gain control of her career as well as custody over her, because at the time, Little Tay happened to be anywhere between 9 and 12 years old. He goes on to say, Tay's brother said, my sister has been silent on social media for the past 3 years because her absentee father, Chris Hope, served my mother a court order demanding control over Tay's money, career, and custody. As a result, it was a court order that my sister had to return to Vancouver, Canada. He also requested through the court order to prevent her from speaking out about the truth, and since then has stolen millions of dollars from my sister and has taken control of all her funds. He has signed million-dollar deals and taken all of Tay's money for himself. He has spent money buying himself and his wife a new mansion, wow, a speedboat, nice cars, trips to the salons and spas, fancy restaurants, a trip to Egypt, Dubai, Mexico, Philippines, Hawaii, UK, Paris, designer clothes, jewelry, watches from head to toe. And they have been living a lavish life for the past 3 years off of Tay's money. We got to do a part 2 because there's a lot more. Now here's part 2, and yes, I did find that article. So roughly 3 days ago, people were speculating who was the little girl who was killed in a jet ski collision off of this lake, which I'm not going to try to pronounce, in British Columbia. It says here that British Columbia says that one teen was dead after a jet ski collision off of this lake in this city. in this place. It said the RCMP, or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, said that 4 youths were injured when 2 jet skis watercrafts collided on Friday evening in the middle of the lake. People say that all 4 youths were taken to this local area hospital by boat, and that one of them had passed away and the other 3 were released. The only thing the article states about this 14-year-old's identity is that they were 14 years old. In a statement Saturday, the police said that the other 3 youths were treated again at the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries and have since been released. Now, the police are investigating the incident, but they do not believe that there's any criminality or alcohol involved in the incident. So when the story had got released 3 days ago, nobody had known who the 14-year-old girl was. And then when the story got released today, because again, she is Canadian, people were just putting 2 and 2 together. So I think this is in regards to that. Now, the sad part about Little Tay's story is that her father, being an attorney, really just used the legal system in order to take his daughter and all of her money. Even back on that GoFundMe, Tay's brother stated that his mom, who again was a high-powered real estate agent, spent her $750,000 savings just to fight her ex-husband on those legal fees. He was so emotionally abusive to the point where he was deducting money every time that Tay's mother would send her to school for lunch. You could pause to read this, but in a nutshell, when Tay's mom would send her to school for lunch, the father said, "I'd deduct $10 from child support because you didn't tell me that she was going to school with food." The man was psychotic, and when he found out that Tay was making all that money, honey, he swooped in as fast as he could. I think that her story is just so sad because like she looked like she was like finding her niche in comedy and getting her personality up, and people really loved her. Like, I remember her back in 2018 and she was so funny. And I feel like she was really getting her footing in the game. She was like pretending to be a fake rapper, and people just really liked that about her. I mean, I did. I thought she was adorable. But then it just kind of got stripped away. So for years, people have been saying free Lil Tay. And at first, people just thought it was a running joke, like she had ended up in jail. Turns out she just ended up in a really nasty custody battle.